Welcome to Dog on the Plot. I'm on the plot. I have a dog, and today I want to plant some stuff out. I've got loads of stuff to plant out. But first, I've got to walk a dog, and I really want to earth up these potatoes. So while I do those things, I'm going to send you back in time to Saturday morning when I had the most productive power hour. Welcome to a rainy Saturday morning. It's about nearly 10 a.m. and I'm going to do the job that I teased last week but then didn't have time for, and it's because it's quite a big job. I'm actually in the front garden, and what I need to do is tackle this jungle. So this has all got a little out of hand. In my defense, it's partly because the scaffolding was up for the new roof, and so I couldn't really get into the front garden to do the jobs that needed doing, which is mostly weeding. And then really it's just been a lack of time and attention elsewhere. But this is slightly playing on my mind that it's got as wild as it has now. And one of the practical reasons why I really want to clear the weeds out of here and get it back under control is because there are lots of strawberry plants in here and I can't get to them. They're only the ones that are very near the front of the patch that I can actually access. But I'm sure there are loads more in there, and they're going to need some sunlight. Now, as I also said last week, I haven't really got this weekend to be working on any of my growing spaces. I'm heading to Malvern. So I'm really stealing this hour before I need to get ready to go. And I've only really got that hour. So I've enlisted Bingley. This is the little timer I use with my students when they're doing writing tasks. They named him Bingley. So I'm going to employ him to give me 60 minutes on the timer to see how much of this I can get done in that time. Okay, here we go. Well, that's time up. Yeah, not bad what you can achieve in 1 power hour. So that's a pretty big pile of weeds that have come out of what is only really, I don't know, 5 by 4 meter, if that, space. So that's a lot of weeds, but it did mean I uncovered some of the treasures that are in this food forest front garden. So I found some of the garlic. In fact, one of the garlic I accidentally pulled up. So actually it does seem like it's formed bulbs, but yeah, cloves, sorry, but it is a small bulb. Plenty of strawberries, found all the strawberries. Also found my pink currant is in there. There's a rhubarb in there. Obviously there's a Tortandine kale, and just, yeah, loads of stuff. There's a couple of dahlias in there. So it's quite exciting to sort of uncover those things, and they seem okay. They seem okay. Hopefully I didn't accidentally pull up too much stuff. But that's it. That's it. The sun has come out, but I've got to go in and I've got to get ready. So I'll catch you later in the week. So that was Saturday morning, and I was quite impressed really about how much I got done in such a short amount of time. And it's meant now that I can get in and find the strawberries. And I think I mentioned that there was garlic in there and stuff as well. So while you were catching up on that, I have earthed up the potatoes, which was a lot more of a job than I anticipated. It always feels like that on the plot, that you think, oh, I'll just do this little thing and then I can move on to the fun stuff like the planting. And that little thing takes up all your time, really. But to earth up the potatoes, I had to dig out the compost from the compost heap, take out the weeds, fill up the pots. Pots not in a great place because they're now alongside the frame of the greenhouse, so that was a little bit awkward. But they got earthed up with the homemade compost, and then I also put rabbit bedding on the top as a sort of mulch on top as well to kind of keep the moisture in. And I did water them all as well. So we're due rain from tomorrow onwards. Today, you see, today is the one nice day I think we're going to have. So I wanted to make the most of it this morning and get down here and do a few jobs. And then we're in for rain for the rest of the week. I mean, what a June it has been. It's been so rainy and cold, actually cold. And I'm a bit concerned about putting things out when the overnight, so the overnight temperature is due to be 7 degrees tonight. It does go up a bit after that, but it's always a balance, isn't it, about putting things out and potentially them getting too cold and being stunted, or just getting eaten by slugs because of all the rain, or leaving them in their pots and them becoming stressed because they really need to be put in the ground. And I've been sort of on that boundary, and I've decided that some of the stuff looks stressed enough that it's like, no, it has to go out. It has to go out. So that's what I'm here to do. So the first thing that looked stressed enough to make me think it was worth the risk is the sweet corn. Now, it's grown remarkably well. I'm very happy with the sweet corn, but it is starting to yellow down at the bottom leaves, and some of them have been a bit shredded by slugs. So I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to pop these in, and I think I'm going to pop them in here, in the bed frame bed. I'm not sure if that's the best idea, but it's the bed that is available. And my idea was that I might put a couple of squash in the middle with them. And I brought down these ones from Claire, which are the butterbush squash, and they make quite small, compact plants. And I thought that's probably a good choice for pudding with the sweet corn because it won't overpower them. Potentially, that's the idea. But I actually have two varieties of sweet corn. I don't want to put them together because I think that was a mistake last year. So one variety is incredible, and that I want to go in that bed because I've got the most of those. But then I've also got some of the glass gem sweet corn, which I'm very excited about. And I mean, I think that's going to have to go in one of the beds at the back. So maybe behind the cabbages in the shoehorn bed. Not shoehorn, horseshoe. But the first job for this bed then is to actually get some compost in it, because at the moment it's only got rabbit bedding in there. So I'm going to fill it with compost and yeah, put some stuff out. About time too, hey. Nothing like a freshly prepared bed. You may have seen me do the little no-dig dance on top of the bed as well to firm down the compost. And that's because what I've been finding on the beds that I've been doing is because I'm putting a layer of the rabbit bedding over the cardboard. How did you get here? Actually, I don't think this one has cardboard on it. But anyway, I'm putting a layer of rabbit bedding and maybe grass clippings, and that's quite puffy underneath the compost. So I just wanted to kind of firm it down and then put a topping on. Right, Dory, let's see what we've got then in terms of sweet corn. Right, now these 2 rows are the gem. So the gem's not going in here. So we'll take those out. Oh my goodness, look at those roots. See what I mean about things desperate to go out? Oh my goodness. Oh, that's not quite so bad. Right, so those 2 are going elsewhere. So we'll pop those down. So we've got 2 in there, 2 in there. Some didn't germinate, so that's 4. Oh, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 3 in that one, and only 3 in that one. So 12. Oh, you know, I like an even number. Now what was the variety? Oh, Special Swiss. Wasn't incredible. It was Special Swiss. Right, so how am I going to get 12 plus the 2 squash though? My favourite part, deciding where things are going to go. So these are the root trainers that just break apart like that, but they're the sturdy ones that you're going to be able to reuse, hopefully for years and years. The roots have actually gone into the cell that was spare. Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, such lovely root systems though. Really nice. So, sweet corn and a couple of squash in. Those squash are probably a bit close together, but they are supposed to be tiny, not tiny plants, compact plants. Anyway, we shall see. Probably one will die, if not both. Anyway, it is now time to get home and to work, but I'm going to come back down at lunch and carry on. So it's a good day so far. Oh, while I have lunch then, I'll send you back in time to Tuesday morning when I had my first Tomato Tuesday. Good morning, it's Tomato Tuesday, and you can perhaps hear the hose in the background. So it's been at least 2 weeks since I put the tomatoes in. Yeah, 24th of May was when they went in, so it's been like 2.5 weeks, and these have not been watered. That's okay, that was my plan. Well, 2 weeks was my plan, a little bit over. But the idea was that I didn't want to water them. They were watered well when they went in, but then I didn't want to water them because I want the roots to penetrate down into the soil to find water, to find nutrients, rather than relying on the surface water. But they're now ready. They don't look stressed, they look okay, so that's good. But I'm going to water them today, and then from here on out I'm probably going to try and water them every 5 days, and every other water give them a feed. So I'm not feeding them this time, they're just going to be watered. I'm going to water the pipes that are in the bed, so the water goes down deep, and hopefully again the roots are going to try and seek that water, but I shall also give each plant an individual water as well. And the other thing that I'll do while they're being watered is just hoe the surface of the soil, because there's some little seedlings coming up because I have the homemade compost on here, and then also take the suckers out as and when I see them. And then that should be the tomatoes, my Tomato Tuesday done. Well, having said that, no, I think there's something else that I need to do for my Tomato Tuesday. Sorry, the sun is coming right in. It's just after 7 in the morning. These tomatoes that are still in cells, it had been my idea that they would be in the greenhouse on the plot by now. These busy weekends have meant that, that project has slightly been delayed, so there's no glass in the greenhouse just yet. But I have been thinking that although I did want to put the tomatoes directly into the ground in the greenhouse, probably that's not the best idea because of the amount of bindweed that is in that section.
So I think what I will do is have them in pots in that greenhouse anyway. So I can pot them on here and then transport them there when the glass is in the greenhouse. It does mean I'm going to be cramped for space in here. I'm going to have to think that through, but I don't want to lose my tomatoes. So I think the priority is to get those potted up now. So many things are looking like they really want to be potted on. Yeah, I should do the aubergines and the chilies really as well. We'll see how much compost I have, how much time I have. It's a work day, but it's a work from home day. So I'm utilising this morning, lunchtime after work. The pressure is slightly off with work now after a busy little period. So, so yeah, a little bit more breathing space. But it is lovely to have the sun out, and we are due quite a lot of rain over the next few days. So I guess that lessens the watering. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy it while the sun is out. Right, that's it, everything watered. It's funny doing that, you're like, this is going to be my life for the next like 4 or 5 months. But no, that's good. I'm happy that that is done. The other thing I did while I was watering was to tie them in. So they hadn't been tied to the canes previously because I wanted them to support their own weight, make them strong. But they are getting a little bit taller now. So I have very loosely tied them to the canes just in case they start to, oh, there's the sun, start to lean. So the other thing, oh yeah, and I just went in and washed my hands and they were covered, you know, the yellow. I'd forgotten about the yellow. That's another thing to look forward to for the next 4 or 5 months, is constantly having splashes of yellow tomato pollen stuff. I don't even know what it is because it's on the leaves, isn't it? It's not the pollen. Anyway, so that's those done. So it's now time to tackle these. And the first thing I need to do is figure out my tub situation. So I bought all these B&Q buckets earlier in the season, but they do need holes drilling in them. And then I've got these ones that I was thinking are more for chilies potentially, and I've got some smaller ones there, and I've got some bigger ones here, and there are these ones down here that have still got the bulbs in with the tulips and such dying off. That massive one there, can't fit that in the greenhouse. Well, last week we had ineffective strumming. We now seem to have ineffective drilling. So I've just put the drill on to charge. It's obviously running out of charge. So I can't do that just yet. Maybe I'll pop the chilies on then. Let's do the chilies in the smaller tubs that already have holes in. Okay, so my potting mix is the plant grow compost. I've also added seaweed feed and some perlite, but not too much. Now they want the goodness, don't they, over the drainage. I guess drainage is still important. Anyway, that's my last bag of plant grow compost, which is slightly worrying. But I did just Google, and apparently both chilies and aubergines don't mind acidic soil. In fact, they quite like it a little bit acidic. So I still have some of that bag of ericaceous compost. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that into here as well to try and fill out. I really wish I'd saved some of my homemade compost now, but oh well. Right, so I'm using these size pots for the aubergine. What's that, 15 litre maybe, 14, 13, 12? But fairly roomy pot. So let's fill it with my mix. And then this one is Black Beauty Aubergine. So you see the roots have come to the bottom and it's getting quite dry in there. So I'm just taking off the top, the dry compost on the top, putting into the tub and filling around. Now the other thing that I've decided to do with these is use the Blooming Marvellous soil conditioner as a mulch on the top, because it will trap in moisture and also probably release some goodness into the compost over the season, because I don't really anticipate that these are going to get potted on again. This should be its final pot, I hope. Label back in.
And we're back on the plot, and it's lunch break time, and I've brought with me 2 squash, one for that side of this bed and one for that side. And I chose the baby boo because they're a little pumpkin, and hopefully, yeah, I can train them up this frame. I was going to put peas here, but now I'm putting a pumpkin. These are the ones from Danny, so thank you, Danny, for these. Hopefully they won't get eaten by slugs. So you were just watching me doing, I did all the aubergines, I did the sweet peppers, then I ran out of compost and couldn't do the chilies or the tomatoes. But I had a bit of a brainwave. I keep saying how I'm running out of compost and forgetting that I've got an enormous amount of compost here on the plot. So I was thinking what I would do is pot up as many as I can of the tomatoes using the homemade compost here and the compost that I bought in, using the buckets, which I charged the drill and now have proper holes in. I've got 12 buckets, so I can do 12 tomatoes, which is about half of what I've still got. Yeah, I don't know where the rest of them are going to go. But let's get the ones out that we can. So first squashing, then tomatoes. So like I was saying, I'm concerned that I'm perhaps trying to fit too much into this bed, what with 4 pumpkins and a load of sweet corn, 12 sweet corn. But oh well, we'll see how it goes. Now this time, as well as putting fresh compost in the planting hole, I've also brought down the seaweed feed. We can put a little bit of that in, and the mycorrhizal fungi stuff. So we'll put a bit of that. Ooh, actually get it in the hole. So mix that in a bit. There we go. Give you the best chance we can. Hey, baby boo. What I will do as well is put the miscanthus grass around these to hopefully keep the slugs off. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working as well as I hoped it would, and had a little bit of slug damage on the cabbages over there, which is a shame. I was really hoping that this would be the answer, but anyway, it's no doubt helping, but nothing was going to be completely foolproof, I don't think. Now with these squash, like I've done with the other ones, I'm just making sure that they're planted in a dip so that when I water, the water is going down into the roots, which is what I did last year. Seemed to work well. There we go. So its own little crater. Now there's also that thing about the direction that you want the plant to grow in. Obviously I want it to grow in this direction. So you go opposite to the first true leaf. I thought about this last year, but when I kept looking at them, I was like, not really sure at this stage which the first true leaf was. It could have fallen off. So I guess with that one, it would be this one. So it would go that way. Okay, well, we'll try that. Ooh. Oh dear, oh no, oh no. It's a bit loose in there because I did pot it on not too long ago. That's roughly going in that direction then. Fresh compost around the base, and then just make our little crater. You see what I mean? It just fills the little crater. Right, so I still got the gem corn to go in, but I think I know where that's going. So tomatoes will then be next. I have 15 tomatoes here, and I think they are all different varieties. And then I've got 13 there, some of which are Roma, so they're going to be outdoor. And I'm going to put another couple in the beds here. And we are going to have some left over. I'm going to put them in the buckets, the ones for the greenhouse. I've got 12 buckets. They've got holes in now. I've got the seaweed feed that can go in. I might also tear up some comfrey and get that in the bucket as well. Just as much goodness as I can get in these buckets as possible for these what are looking like slightly poor tomatoes now. Still better than the ones I had last year though, and this is still earlier than I got the ones out last year. I mean, that leaf doesn't look good, but I don't know, it's just been so cold and so wet. Hey, poor tomatoes. Right, this is going to take me a lot longer than my lunch break, so I'm going to get started, go home, come back and carry on this evening, and then you can join me then, and we'll see what got accomplished. Last of my tea. Good evening. I'm back on the plot. Just to be clear, I wouldn't be able to do this on a kind of regular work day. It just happens that today is a pretty light day, no meetings in or anything like that. And I've been able, you know, it's one of the benefits of having your allotment right around the corner from your house. Just nip back and forth. But, oh, I am feeling it now. This is not something I could do regularly. So I'm so pleased that I have done it today. I feel so much more on top of this space. Now, what I really would have liked to have done is trimmed the plot, especially because this rain is coming tomorrow. So I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't get that done, but I'm so pleased with what I have got done. Now, before I show you everything around, I've got one more tomato to pot up, number 12, and I thought we'd do that one together. And it entails me getting into this compost bay. Well, not quite like this, but I'll turn around so that you can see me. And having a dig about. Don't want snails and slugs, but loosening the soil to then fill the bottom of the bucket. At the same time, pulling out any weeds I find. And when the bucket is 2/3 full, it comes down to the front of the plot. And to my little setup over here. And here I add in some of the compost and then some of the seaweed feed, which perfect, that's the last of it, just enough to do the 12. And then a little bit of the mycorrhizal fungi stuff. There we go. Mix that through a little bit, and then fill the bucket with the fresh compost. Oh, hello, little beetle. No, we won't have you in there. Okay, and then I've got my very last tomato. What was our last one? The blueberry. Okay, just take the lower leaves off. Okay, don't lose the label. Oh, the blueberry's got a little flower on, look. It's probably because it's awfully stressed. Right, dig deep down into the bucket. Tomato goes in, firm it down, and then top up with the compost. There we go, lovely. And then label back in and back to the back of the plot. Where it comes to join its friends in the greenhouse. There we go, 12 tomatoes. Hopefully they'll perk up now that they're in their final homes. So they still need watering. And the other thing I thought I'd do was bring up a bag of that Blooming Marvellous mulch stuff, soil conditioner, and mulch the tops of the buckets, because the problem with doing the tomatoes in buckets at the allotment, of course, is going to be watering and keeping them hydrated. So now the other problem, of course, is there's no actual glass in this greenhouse, and they're supposed to be greenhouse tomatoes. I have brought up a sheet of, you know, the stuff that you would cover, like the clear plastic that you would put around the hoops or whatever. I can't think anymore. It's been a long day. And I did wonder if there was some way that I could just wrap it around the greenhouse and the plants. I have got this stage in here, so I could move that to that side and like loop it around the staging and around. I might give it a go if I've got time. Before we do that, let me show you the other stuff I've been up to. So the thing I did before I went back home was put those gem sweet corn in. So they're now in this bed in the corner and looking all right. I have put the miscanthus grass around these ones because they're next to a particularly weedy area. And I've also popped on the bed frame with the netting over the top. So hopefully they will be protected enough, because I really do want those gem corn. They are so beautiful, and these were seed from Growbust greenhouse. So yeah, I really want those to produce corn so that I can then save it for the following year and to gift. The other thing that I squeezed in before I went back was the 2 tomatoes that were going outdoors, and I put those in the centre of the beds where I had the other tomatoes. I put in another Barry's Crazy Cherry and another Old German. So there's 2 Barry's Crazy Cherry in one of the beds and 2 Old German in the other bed. And when I got back this evening, I had a bit of a brainwave, as you do, walking, and decided to actually use some netting over the bed frame to protect the squash in particular, but also the sweet corn in that bed. So I'd got some old netting that was from the previous tenant of the plot, and I've kind of fudged that around the bed using, once I got it working, the staple gun. So quite happy with that. I think that little bit of extra protection might just do the trick. And lastly, I put the arches up. They're not firmed in yet. I'm going to wait until it rains, because then it'll be easier to push into the ground. But I used the bamboo sticks to measure how far I want these apart, because if you remember, my idea is that I'll have the double arch and then feed bamboo sticks along the shelves, what would you call them, bars of the arches, and increase therefore my growing space, my vertical growing space between the arches. So I did that one, and I did this one. So yeah, I think that's going to work quite well. And I was a bit worried about what space these would take up, because I thought the bed had infringed too much on the space here, but it hasn't. It's absolutely fine. So that's all good. So what do we have left here? Well, we still have a whole tray of tomatoes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 7 of these are the Roma, so they are going to go outside. I just need a space for them. I do have more of the pallet beds, so I could put a pallet bed somewhere and put them in there. I don't know what to do with them in the meantime though, because they really don't want to be in these cells anymore. Anyway, that's something to think about. And the other thing I've still got is a whole load of tomatillos, which are also going to be outdoor, and they need somewhere to go. I might put the tomatillos on, and then they could go where the first early potatoes are behind me, potentially, maybe. The broad beans will come out soon, so these tomatoes, the Roma, could go in where the broad beans are. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of kind of some musical chairs around the beds, I guess, soon. The one I'm sitting in will be for squash, and the one at the back of the plot will be for squash as well. Really feels like I've made progress today. Really feels exciting, good, kind of relieving. Relieving. I feel relief. Oh, I'm losing my words. I'm tired. I need to get home and make some tea. It's a lovely thing though about June, although it's cold and it's going to be very wet for the next week or so, you still do get these light evenings, and yeah, it's great to be able to utilize those. Okay, well, I don't have anything to harvest because Mum and I came down here last night and we harvested the peas, the broad beans and strawberries. And then I spent a quite nice half hour this morning watching Jessie at plot 37 and shelling my broad beans and peas. Dory enjoyed it too. It's quite a nice little thing to do this morning, and probably both watching Jessie and doing that is what inspired me to make the most of today, really, this opportunity with work being quiet to get down here between stuff and really crack on. Well, I'm just waffling now because I'm tired, so I'm going to sign off. But if you were motivated by what I've done today or inspired in any way, please do let me know in the comments. It's the comments that I love to hear, and I got a couple of them last week. And if you didn't see last week's video, it was all about the sorts of things that I've been doing today, utilising the little pockets of time that you can find. So do check out that video if you're interested, and I shall see you next week.